Good evening, class. Have you ever thought about the mafia and how it works in America? If so, you're in for a treat. This is Organized Crime by Myron Labat III. Organized crime started off in Italy, specifically Sicily. Sicily is in South Italy, and Sicilian Italians are known for being kind of the darker complected people in Italy. They have darker hair, uh, darker shades of eyes, and throughout history, they were enslaved and they were the mistreated people as well. Okay, this is basically just a timeline of the Italian mafia in its beginning and its roots all the way to 1930 and how it migrated to America. So basically, Sicily becomes part of Italy throughout after a war, and after this, um, the poor people of Sicily started forming these low-level organizations to try to get ahead and to try to get some power. And they used how they did this. They would like bend laws and cut little corners and things like that. But the reason they did this is because they didn't have the same amount of resources as everybody else in Italy. And in 1920, organized crime takes a huge hit in Italy. But this will lead to a lot of Italians migrating into America. And this will lead into the rise of the American Mafia. And like in 1930, New York becomes basically the new haven of the Mafia, the headquarters, the home of the Mafia. And this would, a lot of things would start happening, like the emergence of the five families. And when the 1930s come, Al Capone, and I'm gonna explain all, like I said, I'm gonna explain all this in the next few slides. But Al Capone gets jailed. The commission is formed, and this is also the conclusion of the Castel War. Key figures around this time. Okay, I really need y'all to lock in on these five people. Arnold the Brain Ralston, Al Capone, Charlie Lucky Luciano, Joe the Boss Messira, and Salvatore Maranzo. And I really feel like you really should know 3 out of 5 of these people, just if you were just around any type of history. But if you don't know them at all, you're still in great hands. I'm about to get into it right now. All right. Arnold the Brain Ralston. Okay, this man, he was in the Mafia and he was one of the orchestrators of the American Mafia, but he was Jewish. He was Jewish, and what he was known for, if this is even a real term, he was a good gambler. He was good at gambling. If you really like, he understood odds, he understood numbers, and he was a very, very intelligent man. And he used his gifts to kind of earn power and earn a lot of money. And that's what he would use to become, a boss. And I guess the main thing that makes him important is that he pulled the World Series in like 1937. That's why he went to jail. He had, like I was already telling you how big of a gambler he was, but he had like 4 or 5 baseball players on the White Sox in his pocket. And like, they were going to play how he said they were going to play, and they were going to do so whatever, score he wanted or whatever, they made sure that happened. And, I guess the main thing that represented, because baseball is like the #1 sport at the time. It was like Al Capone. Al Capone. What I know y'all know this man. Al Capone is basically, he is he started his reign by basically he was the head of the mafia during Prohibition. So when America started making booze and liquor illegal, he got right on top of this. And he saw the opportunity there. He knew people were still going to want booze and liquor. He knew that this was a rare opportunity. And, you know, him and his guys they got on top of it. And he made just a lot of money and gained a lot of influence from that, from selling liquor during Prohibition. You know, and he was also very flamboyant. I want to outspoken, but I don't mean in like a poetic way. Like he was, you know, very loud and like, you know, he commanded the room type thing. Joe the Boss Masseria. Okay, this man was from Italy. He was from Italy, and when I say everyone called him Joe the Boss, I mean everyone. And I guess the main thing he was known for was just his army. You know, like I said, he came from Italy, so he had soldiers in America and Italy. And, you know, they would do, you know, he would get a lot of things done because he had a lot of people under his power. And he ended up getting in a war with a man that I'm about to explain next. And I'm going to explain the downfall of the both of them and what that ended up leading into. Salvatore Maranza. Okay, this is another guy. He's from Italy, right? He's from Italy, but he was running things in America. And the two men that I just explained, they wanted to be in charge so bad, you know. Joe the Boss wanted to be in charge, but so did Salvatore. And, you know, they couldn't come to agreements with it, so they went to war. And, you know, a lot of people died. This was one of the deadliest wars, you know, of all time. And but it was ended up being one of the deadliest wars of all time, but it led into something potentially good. My man, Charlie Lucky Luciano. Okay, so everybody that I've explained up to this point, they all have something to do with this man. He was either around them, their underboss, or he worked for them in some type of way. And all he did was take little strings from each person and make it into his own new and improved creation. You get what I'm saying? Arnold Ralston, he used to be basically a running soldier for Arnold Ralston. I think he learned how to carry himself, you know, how to have influence and things like that. And just, you know, just little things for Arnold Ralston. But he also learned that he couldn't get too greedy. You know, you can't get too greedy. Al Capone, him and Al Capone are first cousins. Him and Al Capone are first cousins. And the thing that he learned from Al Capone was that, like, you can't be too, it's kind of a similar thing to Arnold Ralston. You can't be too cocky. It has to be a certain discreetness to how you do these things, and secrecy. Everything can't just be out in the open, and everybody can't just know exactly who you are. And from Joe the Boss, the main thing that he got from Joe the Boss was that it's teamwork makes the dream work. You know, you can't be the all say all. You can't be the person that runs everything. You got to have a team of advisors that's going to tell you when you're wrong, when you're tripping, and like when you may need to sit down and think about this a little bit more. And Salvatore basically let him know that you can really only trust your blood. You can only trust your blood. He let him know this, and like at a very important time, and like he didn't listen to it at first, but it definitely hit home at the right time. Because at the time when Salvatore told him he was working for a non-Italian, and like he was, and I now that I think about it, I think it was Arnold Ralston, and that ended up, not working out, and like he remembered that like, okay, I can only work with my people. You get what I'm saying? And next slide. All right. And what he did with all of these ideas and all of these, I guess, realizations, he formed the commission and the 5 families. And this is basically how the American Mafia is ran today. It's basically like a coalition, and it's 5 bosses. They run like the 5 boroughs of New York, and the commission, they run the whole country, and they all have meetings together, and it's what you would call basically the present day democracy, if you want to go there. They have to vote in order for things to get passed, and it has to be a majority rule for things to get done. And you have your dad has to be full-blooded Italian. Your dad has to be full-blooded Italian. You have to get your finger pinched, and you have to burn a saint, a card of a saint, during your ritual. Passing of the torch or passing of the word. So I really feel like the main reason why this system lasted so much, because it was organized, it was order to it, and it was structured to it, and to the point like these people were trained to where if someone went down for this, it was no stopping the train. It would just keep going. You get what I'm saying? So Luciano would get convicted in 1936, and Frank Costello takes over his family right away, and it continues to move. Not as perfect as Luciano had it, but it continues to move forward, even though he goes to jail. And that's basically how it still runs today. It's the same principles from when Luciano was there. It's just the same passing of the word, passing of the torch, all the way down generations. And you have to keep doing that. You have to keep doing that, passing the good word down. And then 1940, John Gotti is born. John Gotti's reign, the Teflon Don. Okay, if you're around my age, a little bit older, a little bit younger, and you even think about the Mafia or the mob, this is pretty much who you're going to think about. He was basically running things around like the 80s and 90s. And the reason why everybody knows, actually, I just got done watching a movie about this man with John Travolta. But the main reason he's just so famous, he went out his way to be famous. I guess the main thing about the Mafia up to this point was that it was their secrecy. But this man, he wanted everybody to know who he was. He wanted everybody to know that the Mafia was running things and that you couldn't do anything about it. And it kind of like bit him in the butt. And his name is the Teflon Don because like he loved to wear, nice suits, and he liked to be seen and everything. And he's talked about a lot in music. But he was also a man known for his principles. He took, not tattling. He took his family very seriously. He took, honoring your parents and like honoring your family. He took all that stuff very seriously, and he just couldn't see it any other way if it went any other way. If you get what I'm saying. So. And after this, John Gotti goes to jail. And after John Gotti goes to jail, President Nixon gets into office, and he puts in these new rules called the Rico Act. And basically, this is basically what the FBI. This is like the FBI's like number one. how I want to say this. I need to stop that. Damn. After John Gotti goes to prison, President Nixon comes into office and he puts in these new laws called the Rico Act. And this basically makes the mafia touchable again. At the time, they were very powerful. They had a lot of control over the country, and this kind of slowed a lot of that down. And basically, I want to summarize what the laws basically say. But if you have influence over a group of people that has something to do with like drugs, music, anything like that, you going to jail. The American Mafia today. Okay, so the American Mafia is still here today, but it's still it's definitely still present, but it's not in our face as much anymore. And that's probably why you don't really hear about a lot of them just going to jail and stuff a lot anymore. But some of the things that they're doing is like online gambling. Like, I don't know if y'all been noticing, but like, you can basically go to a casino on your phone now. It's like all type of casino games, like blackjack and stuff like that. And these people were the originators of gambling. Like, so that's definitely them. That's definitely them. These online casino apps and things like that, and sports betting, like these apps where like you can put in tickets and bet on the games and all that. Like, I'm telling you, this is them basically moving from bookies to sports betting. This is them evolving. And they still deal with drugs a little bit, and shipping and commerce. And like shipping and commerce is never going to stop, because we're always going to need goods, and goods always need to get from one place to another, no matter what, whether that's from a truck, a plane, or a car, 18-wheeler. Like, goods have to get transferred. And if you own the factories or you own the trucks that get these goods to certain places, you got a lot going on for yourself. The media's role and portrayal of the mafia today. Okay, so in my opinion, The Godfather 1 and 2 are the best movie that I've ever seen, and the best movie that's ever been on a movie screen. It's just a lot that you can learn about it. And even on Rotten Tomatoes, I think it's like the #1 selling movie ever. #2 is. I'm like 98% sure that #2 is like the #1 selling movie ever. And it's just a lot that you can learn about family, honor, and trust, and things like that. It's just a great movie. If you haven't seen it, I highly recommend. And the same thing for Sopranos. Sopranos kind of it puts you in that mind frame of Sopranos started airing around 1999, and it continued to 2007. But it was basically putting you in that mind frame of, okay, we're in New Jersey, and like, what if the mafia was like right here type thing. And like the real world in this show they brought in all the real world problems, like 9/11, and like like not being ashamed of psychiatry, I guess, like being able to talk to people. It's so much in that show, man. It kind of makes me emotional, because it's like it's my favorite show of all time, and it holds a special place in my heart. But yeah, The Godfather and Sopranos, and like, it's not a coincidence that like mafia type movies, they always do well, and people always try to like mimic them, because people want to know more about it. People want to they want to know why they're so powerful, and why people want to know about secrets, and like, why are they so powerful. And that's why they are, like, the movies and the shows do what they do. But yeah, that's just about it on organized crime. This is Myron Labat III, Myron Bo Labat III, and I'll see y'all again.